Just like sealant, we have gaskets all throughout our unit, around our compartment doors, our entry door, around our windows. Our windows may also end up having a putty type tape that comes out of the edge. You'll see a gray type putty. Through a period of time, that putty is going to ooze out a little bit, and we can take a scraper and just pull that out. Now, if we have gaskets, that's a different story. We may see a cap seal of silicone around the top of those windows that prevents water from getting in. In those cases, we just need to keep an eye on that sealant and the gasket, make sure no gasket is pulling out. Now, around our compartment doors, it's a little bit different. We can actually see that gasket. If we open our compartment door and run our finger around that gasket, we want to make sure there's no buckles, no pulling off of the adhesive, no tears, no rips, anything of that nature, to ensure that we don't get any water inside this compartment. Now, another thing I'll tell you about compartments is that they have latches down at the bottom, and both latches need to be locked and secured in order to make sure that the compression on the gasket is proper and there's no water entry into that compartment. Like I said, we also have gaskets around our entry doors. So our entry doors have a nice D-seal wrapped all the way around them. We want to make sure there's no adhesive pulling up from that D-seal. We want to make sure that it makes good compression with our door. And good, easy way to tell that is if we stand inside the unit and have the lights off and close the door, we can see that there's no daylight entry on the inside of that door. If the door does need adjustment, you let our service center know. We can make that happen for you. But it's always a customer's responsibility to find and make sure that over time these things don't fall out of adjustment, and make sure we stay on top of it if they do. Following with the seals on our unit, we also have a wiper seal. If your unit has a slide out, it has a wiper seal around it. That wiper seal has helped to deter any water from getting inside the unit. You have an outer wiper seal and an inner wiper seal, so this is double layered. Now, we need to make sure that our wiper seal doesn't have any tears in it. We want to make sure that it's making good contact with the slide out. Once again, just like our entry doors, compartment doors, and so on, our slide out may need adjustment somewhere down the road. Due to traveling and everything, these slide outs can come out of adjustment. So it's always great to check and make sure we don't have any gaps around that seal. You also have a wiper seal that goes over the top of your slide out. You want to make sure that that's making good contact as well. Remember, as we talked about in the roof information, we want to make sure there's no debris on the top of that slide out. Same thing with the sides. We want to make sure we don't have any tree branches in that area when we're closing that slide out, so we're not tearing that wiper seal up. Now, you will also find on your slide out a D seal, kind of like what's on your entry door, but bigger. It will either be mounted on the wall of the unit or on what we call the fascia of the slide out. Now, that D seal is important because when your slide out closes, it will be compressed. Now, while these wiper seals are intended to keep water out, if the water builds up anywhere around that wiper seal, then water can intrude in there. So that's why it's very important that we make sure this D seal is compressed all the way around whenever that slide out is closed. Last thing to add specifically for slide outs is any one of them that has this transition at the bottom. It is a often missed component by customers when it comes to maintenance. This does have silicone across it, and it is a common failure for slide out floors. So make sure you're staying on top of the maintenance of that silicone there and on your outside fascias. Anywhere, once again, where you see silicone, you want to make sure that you check it regularly and maintain it properly. Let's talk about our windows throughout our unit for a second. These framed windows that you'll generally find on slide outs have slots down here at the bottom. These are called weep holes. This is where water will drain out. You may get a little bit of water on the interior of your unit. This hole is connected to that track down at the bottom, and that water will leak out. Now, if you ever have a problem where that water builds up in there, you can take a little screwdriver or a blow hose or anything and clean out that weep hole to make sure that you have good drainage. Another thing on these windows, you may see this gasket shrink up a little bit. No problem. You can take a little black silicone and fill the gap up at the top. If it shrinks down a lot, get in touch with your manufacturer or a dealership and we can have that gasket replaced. Now, as I said, you will have a number of options behind this window, whether it be putty tape or gasket. There's going to be something behind there. If it is putty tape, you'll see it ooze down the bottom throughout the life of your unit, and you simply take a plastic putty knife and scrape that excess off and you're good to go. Now, if you don't have that and you have a gasket around it, you will see a cap seal of silicone over the top of your window that will need to be checked every 60 to 90 days, just like the rest of your sealant. Now, we have talked about the sealants that go around our lights, our gaskets around our compartment doors, our wiper seals around our slide outs, but it is still the customer's responsibility, even though all of this may look great, to come out and check your unit after a rainstorm every so often and make sure you don't have any water entry around these compartment doors, around your windows and entry doors, as well as your roof. Because anytime there's water entry, we want to get on top of that right away. Manufacturers will generally not participate if it's been a number of months of neglect when that water has been sitting in there and causing more damage. They're more than happy to do the repair, but we need to know about this information as soon as possible. In the event that you do have a water leak, taking pictures or video of that water leak is greatly helpful to our service department and the manufacturer in getting that warranty process done a lot quicker, because we do have to provide them that information and do water tests on unit. Water tests can be a little bit lengthy, so if we can catch the problem when it happens the first time and get pictures and video of it happening, it will greatly reduce the amount of time that we have your unit in service for the repair.